Hello, I'm Martin Wynne from the University of Oxford. I'll be talking to you today about the Oxford Text Archive, which is probably the oldest repository of digital texts for use in academic research in continuous operation in the world. I want to talk to you briefly about a little history, some lessons learned, and to explain where we are now, especially in relation to Clarin and national and European infrastructures. So, first a bit of history. Well, back in 1976, Elvis was still alive, if not in the best of health. I was at school and apparently playing football in flared trousers, according to the photographs that I could find. And in Oxford, Lou Bernard and Susan Hockey set up an experimental service to collect and share the electronic texts that were being created by small numbers of early adopters of digital technology around the world. And this was what became the Oxford Text Archive. The service developed on a much larger scale when a Kurzweil data entry machine, or KDEM, was installed and used to digitise texts. The OTA offered a service to digitise printed text for academics, with the payment being a copy of the text deposited with the OTA. I'm pleased to say that the Oxford Text Archive is still going strong, still in the University of Oxford, but there have been some changes over the years. Oxford University Computing Services became IT Services, then we moved to the Bodleian Libraries in 2016, and now I'm setting up a new repository in the Faculty of Linguistics, Philology and Phonetics, with a new stream of funding to set up a node for literary and linguistic resources as part of a national data curation service. So, a very quick history. As I've said, the OTA started in 1976, well before my time. I started in 2001 as linguistics officer with a brief to collect more corpora and other data from the linguistics community, and I became head of the OTA in 2003, and I've been responsible for day-to-day running ever since. Some key events which I haven't mentioned yet are the involvement of the OTA in the start of the Text Encoding Initiative, the TEI, of which Lou Bernard was one of the editors for many years. The OTA became part of a number of projects and services in what became the Humanities Computing Unit, and from the mid-1990s, part of a national support service, the Arts and Humanities Data Service, AHDS, which had hubs supporting archaeology, history, visual arts and performing arts, as well as the OTA for literature, languages and linguistics. That national service ended in around 2008, but at the same time Clarin emerged, with the OTA as one of the key founding hubs of what has become an important part of the European research infrastructure. The OTA collections received a massive boost in 2015 with the deposit of more than 50,000 texts from the Text Creation Partnership, a large-scale initiative to digitise and make available the full text of historical printed works in English from the start of printing to 1800, the majority of these texts being the early English Books Online collection. Over the past few years, we've migrated to the Clarin DSpace platform with the help of the Lindat team here in Prague, which has helped us to be more standards conformant in our repository practices and more connected with Clarin services such as the Virtual Language Observatory Resource Discovery Service. So, what lessons have we learned from this long history? For me, the main lesson is that it's difficult to find the right institutional home for an activity which is about providing services and support largely for people beyond the institution where you're working. It's necessary to keep making and restating the case and showing evidence of the value of such an activity to your managers. But if you think that providing a support service for creators and users of digital resources in the humanities is a good idea, be patient, play the long game, and if it's a good idea, its time will come. I think it's important to try to retain staff, experience, expertise, institutional memory, particularly if you want to avoid making the same mistakes again. I'd say beware institutional dependencies and unreliable partners. Some projects, initiatives and services will fail. Departments will change priorities. Things will lose funding. So always have exit plans from all of your relationships. Don't become too dependent on specific institutional arrangements. For example, if we'd relied on the AHDS central repository for all the data deposited in the period when the AHDS was in operation, it might have been lost when the funding ended. But in common with most of the other AHDS centres, we ensured that we had a preservation policy that looked beyond that particular setup and could continue in a new form after the AHDS. I also think it's important to innovate and continue to innovate. Don't stand still, but prepare for the next phase of technical development. We've found that investing time in being part of and helping to develop Clarin is now bringing rewards in this respect, and the priority now is connecting data to tools. So today the OTA has a repository and web interface based on the Clarin DSpace platform, set up and supported by the Lindat team and the Clarin DSpace community. We've got more than 63,000 items, mostly text but some video, audio and images, and most of those texts English historical works, but also language corpora in a variety of languages and a wide variety of other data sets. Now the OTA is changing. I've now moved to the linguistics department, where we're setting up a new instance of the repository and planning how to scale up as a national service to offer a service for the deposit of all data sets created in literary and linguistic subject areas. All legacy collections will continue to be made available from the Bodleian libraries as well, and which should be able to offer a secure long-term home for the historic collections. We're in the process now of reconsidering the name and the branding and the best way for things to be divided up and organised in Oxford for the coming years. So this new National Literary and Linguistic Data Service will build on the experience, expertise and legacy collections of the OTA, but it will be more than that. It will be more than Oxford, in the sense that a national service for all of the UK is what's needed now, and as a national node in the Clarin European research infrastructure. So we want to make it clear that it's not just for Oxford, it's for everyone. It will be more than text. We expect to see increasing amounts of audio, video and multimodal resources created by research projects and others, so we offer repository services for all research projects in literary and linguistic subject areas funded by the Arts and Humanities Research Council. And it will be more than an archive. This data service will do more than archive resources. It will be a living repository, excuse me, part of the community of researchers, and accepting deposit of new resources and connecting them to tools. To summarise then where we are going now, the priorities are to go beyond download, to connect data to tools, for example to the Clarin Language Resources switchboard, to go beyond text with more audio, more video, but also still collecting more text, and beyond Oxford with more partnerships, being a node in a national data curation service and the home for the coordination of Clarin UK. So perhaps the most important aspect of future plans, and probably the most interesting for the audience here, are the plans for Clarin UK. This started with 3 universities in the Clarin preparatory phase project. They were Lancaster, Oxford and Sheffield. But the UK didn't join Clarin ERIC when it was formed in 2012. The Clarin UK consortium formed in around 2014 with 10 members initially as a way to organise, participate and lobby for the UK to join. The UK became an observer in Clarin ERIC in 2015, which meant that we had the opportunity to participate in Clarin activities, but not in a leading role and with no national funding. But now we are moving towards full membership with what's called an extraordinary extension of observer status this year. We're now paying additional subscription fees almost to the level of a full member, And in some senses this is just due to a technicality. The UK won't join ERICS at the moment until certain arrangements with Horizon Europe have been finalised, but we are almost full members now. I'm hopeful that there'll be UK National Research Infrastructure funding from April next year, and this will help to support Clarin at the national level. So who's in the consortium and how's it organised? We have a core of active members who are important creators and users of electronic data and tools in the UK, and who will be very familiar to those of you who know the domains of corpus and computational linguistics and the digital humanities. At this stage we still have no funding, but we hope that will change. The main goals in the next phase will be the transformation of the excellent and heavily used resources curated by groups in the UK, their transformation from services offered out of goodwill and on a best efforts basis or via projects with short-term funding, to a situation where they are reliable, sustainable, standardised, interoperable services connected via Clarin to the wider European research infrastructure. One of the guiding principles will be to provide services and support for all users in all institutions in the UK, not just a clique or a small set of universities. All of our partners, I think I can say on their behalf, would welcome involvement in new and ongoing partnerships with countries in the European Union and beyond via Clarin and other mechanisms. So please do get in touch with these centres. So here are some examples of the very widely used resources that I'm talking about. CQP Web at Lancaster is a platform for the exploration and analysis of a wide range of corpora, and is used in a number of research projects and teaching like the free online courses on corpus linguistics and the language of Shakespeare. The GATE natural language processing tools at the University of Sheffield offer a wide range of different data management and NLP tools, and they're in use in a large number of research projects in a wide range of disciplines. And maybe some lesser known but extremely valuable resources which deserve to be better known and better supported. Here are a few examples. There are annotation tools for historical language varieties, platforms for accessing parliamentary proceedings and multilingual corpus linguistics, a new national corpus of Welsh, new reference corpus for English, widely used NLP tools from the University of Edinburgh, etc. So we're not in a position where we need to kickstart things in this domain, or even to catch up, or even necessarily to increase capacity. Some of the most advanced and widely used resources are here. What Clarin will offer is the means to make them into more reliable, sustainable, standardised, interoperable services, part of a national research infrastructure and connected to the wider European research infrastructure. So that's all from me. Here's a very short list of the most important links to the OTA and to Clarin UK, plus a link to more information about some of the things I briefly mentioned regarding the history of the OTA and humanities computing in Oxford at the blog post that you can see the link for there. Thank you very much everybody for your attention.